All right, here we go, my beautiful, beautiful Math A people. We've got our third lesson in our review of previous uh, grades. So we're going to do an order of operations today. It's going to be delicious. All right, so in math, you don't just always go from left to right like reading a book. There's a specific order for your operations, and maybe you use something called PEMDAS before, which is okay. PEMDAS is kind of real, but there's parts of PEMDAS that I don't like, so I'll make sure to point those out to you. But I think we can all agree that PEMDAS starts with a P, and that stands for parentheses. So when we have parentheses, order of operations says any operation inside the parenthesis is going to go first. Now, if there is more than one operation, so maybe you have addition and multiplication inside of the parenthesis. If there's more than one, then you just follow the PEMDAS order. So multiplication would come before addition. Exponents would come before subtraction. So whatever is in the parenthesis, whatever operations are there, you're going to follow PEMDAS if there's more than one operation. All right, next one, exponents. So you're going to take any numbers that have exponents attached to them after parentheses, and you're going to just make sure that they get multiplied by themselves. So for instance, if you got 4 to the second power, that just means multiply 4 by itself twice. So 4 times 4, you get 16. So that's that step. Multiplication and division. Now this is the part that I don't like about PEMDAS because the M and the D, it looks like multiplication comes first and then division. That's not actually what happens. Multiplication and division are taken together, and if you have multiples of them, you just complete them left to right. So if you have a division problem or a division operation and followed by a multiplication, you do the division first. It just goes from left to right. Addition and subtraction, if there's multiple operations of this, they can be completed in any order. It does not matter which order you add or subtract in. We do kind of have an extra rule here for fractions. If you have a fraction, you're going to complete anything in the numerator. That would be the top of the fraction, numerator, and the bottom we call the denominator. So if you have operations in the numerator and operations in the denominator, you'll do both of those separately first, and then at the end of the problem, you would reduce it. And when on number 12, you'll see us doing it on there. All right, so the way that I want you to do this, just so you make sure that you don't try to do more than one step at a time, because that's usually where you start messing up. We're going to show every single step, and we're only going to do one operation at a time. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come up to the problem and go, okay, I've got addition. When the 3 is next to the parentheses, that's multiplication. I've got parentheses, and I've got subtraction. So PEMDAS says parentheses first. So this is my first operation right there. Now I'm going to rewrite the problem, not try to do 10 different things at once. I'm going to slowly work through the problem one step at a time. This will save us from making silly errors. Okay, there's my first operation. I took 4 minus 8. I got negative 4. Now I have addition and multiplication. Multiplication comes before addition. So this is my second operation. This would give me 7 minus 12, because 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. And now I'm down to my last operation. 7 minus 12 ends up being negative 5. Final answer. Over here, next one. Do we have parentheses? Yes. So this PEMDAS says that we would do that first. The operation inside the parentheses is 2 times 5. So I'll rewrite it. 3 plus 2 times 5 is 10, minus 4 to the second power. All right, there is no more operations in the parentheses, so we move on. Exponents. Now, if you are squaring or taking it to any power, if there's no parenthesis around this negative, the negative doesn't get squared. Only the 4 gets squared. So there's no parenthesis around the negative with the 4 here. So in this case, in exponents, I'm going to take 4 to the second power, but not take negative 1 to the second power. So I'm just going to do 4 times 4, 16, and then keep this negative right here. So I've got 3 plus 10 minus, and then 4 to the second is 16. If I would have had parentheses there, I would have had to have done negative 4 times negative 4, which is positive 16. Next. Okay, I have parentheses here, but notice the parentheses, there's no operations in there. It's just a single value. So now I'm going to look at my operations. I have division, I have multiplication, I have addition. So multiplication and division go first. Since I have both of them, I go from left to right. I would divide first because I'm going left to right with multiplication and division. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Next, I'm going to do multiplication because I got multiplication or addition. Multiplication comes first. So I get 16 plus negative 8. So 16 plus negative 8 is just 16 minus 8. Our final answer is 8 by following this last one. We get 8 as our value there. Oh, I never finished this one over here. I got distracted, didn't I? Sorry. So let's do this. 13. Dang it, wrong color. That's what happens when I get distracted. 13 minus 16, and then I get negative 3 right here. My bad. All right, next one. So this one has brackets and parentheses. Brackets and parentheses work the same way. So I'm going to look at this problem and go, okay, I've got these brackets, and the brackets have a parenthesis inside. So we're going to go all the way inside and do this part first. Then I'm going to do this. And then I can multiply by 6. So I work my way out from the inside to the outside before I multiply by this 6 here. So the first operation is going to end up being 3 plus 2, that's 5. So we get bracket 7 minus 5, bracket 6. Okay, 7 minus 5 is our next operation. We're still working inside that bracket, working our way from the inside to the out. 7 minus 5 is 2. And then having a 6 next to this bracket just means 6 times 2, so that's 12. All right, next one, parentheses. Here we go. There's 2 operations. I have squaring and subtracting. Squaring comes first. So I've got 2. 9 minus 5 minus 6. I still have operations inside the parentheses, so I'm going to do that next. So I've got 2, 9 minus 5 is 4, minus 6. This is 2 times 4, and then subtracting 6, multiplication comes first. So I'm going to get 8 minus 6. Final answer is 2. Next one, parentheses first, 1 plus 3. That would end up being 4. So we've got 12 divided by 3 times 4. I've got multiplication and division. So when I have both multiplication and division, I go left to right. I have to do division first. So I'm going to do my division first right here. I'm going to get 4. 12 divided by 3 is 4 times 4. Last step, I get 16. Halfway there. Next set of 3 problems. Okay, so on this one, I've got multiplication, subtraction, division. So multiplication, division, I go left to right. So I would start over here with 8 times 4. So that's my first one, 8 times 4. That gives me 32. Minus 15 divided by 3. I've got subtraction and division. Division comes before subtraction. So this is negative 15 divided by 3, and that's going to give us 32 minus 5, because a negative divided by a positive is a negative. Last step, 32 minus 5 ends up being 27. Next, I've got brackets and parentheses. Remember, we worked from the inside, so my first step is going to do 5 plus 2 right there. So I've got 5 minus bracket 3 minus 2, and that parenthesis becomes 7. All right, so now inside of the bracket, there's nothing inside that parenthesis, so I'm going to just do the operations here. I've got subtracting and I've got multiplication. Multiplication comes before subtracting, so 2 times 7, negative 2 times 7 happens next. So we're going to do 5 minus bracket 3, negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. Okay, next operation, I still have subtraction inside the bracket. So I've got 5 minus negative 11. This is a negative 1 right here. So this is negative 1 times negative 11. That's positive 11. So I would do this operation next. That would give me 5 plus 11, which is 16. Next, we do the parentheses first. So I get 2, quantity negative 3 to the second power. Now it's important that if there were parentheses here, you leave them here, because remember way up, where was the problem? Right here. This problem here, remember, was negative 4 to the second. We said since there's not parentheses, the negative doesn't get squared. Well, there were parentheses here. So this time, the negative will be squared. So this will be negative 3 times negative 3, which is actually positive 9. So since there were parentheses, the negative also gets squared, and that becomes positive 9. 2 times 9 is our last step, and that's 18. Last 3. All right, operation. There we go. Parentheses first. 10 plus 6 divided by 2. Next operation, division comes before addition. We've got 10 plus 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 plus 3 is 13. Almost there. We've got parentheses here and parentheses there. This might be the one time where I would probably say, hey, do this parenthesis and this parenthesis at the same time. It just kind of makes sense here. So 5 plus 3 is 8. 6 minus 4 is 2. Then we have this 2 still out there. This is all multiplication. 8 times 2 times 2. Since the 2 is up against the parenthesis, this is multiplication. So I can just go left to right. 8 times 2 is 16. So I'm going to do this one right there. So that would be 16 and then times 2. Oops, should be a parenthesis, but you know the point. And then 16 times 2 is 32. All right, almost there. Last problem. Okay, so this is where we were talking about this extra rule right here that complete any operations in the numerator and the denominator. So I have an operation right here in my numerator. I'm going to do that first. I'm going to just work through my numerator. I've got 6 minus 2 times 9 is 18. Now I'm going to do 6 minus 18. That would be negative 12. So you can see there, So you can see there that I have gone through, I have reduced, simplified, combined the like term, not like terms, done the order of operations in the numerator. Now I'm going to do the denominator. So I've got negative 2 to the second power. Notice there's no parentheses, so only the 2 gets squared. So that's going to end up giving us negative 12 over negative 4. It's just 2 times 2 and then it's negative because there's no parenthesis around this negative. And our last step, now that we have simplified the numerator and the denominator, our last step is just to divide. Negative 12 divided by negative 4, final answer, positive 3. All right, that's all of our notes for today. Math hard. See you guys later. Bye-bye.